Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 21 of September and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the video we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper, the entire newspaper along with the way forward as well as the background of the articles we are going to see. Now, before starting, I would like to tell you that you can download this explainer PDF. In this explainer PDF, I have given the notes of the entire articles that I have discussed. So you can download this PDF and can follow this particular PDF along with the video. The link for the PDF, the link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in the YouTube. So from Telegram channel, you can download these notes. Moreover, you can visit the Telegram and can search there Thinking Palette by Sahil. Fine. Now let's start with the newspaper. Before that, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper in order to understand that which articles are actually important into the today's newspaper. So let's see the overview first. Now here we have the page number 1. China remains a formidable challenge, says Navy chief. Now guys, understand this particular thing that when we talk about the China, along with the China, we are facing the basically issues onto multiple fronts. First of all, around the LAC, line of actual control, the confrontations are going on with the China after the Galwan Valley incident that actually happened. Now guys, basically it has been provided that basically right now the China is maintaining the presence into the Indian Ocean regions after 2008. Okay, why? Because China is saying this particular thing that we are trying to curtail the piracy in the Indian Ocean region, and into the name of piracy, China is continuing its presence, and because of that particular thing, China factor happens to be there. Is it clear or not? So guys, understand just this one line concept that the issue is going on. After that, moving on, EWS quota does not erode the right of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and OBCs. So I have told you multiple number of times, find that right now 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act's validity is going on. Okay, so we have seen this particular thing that 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act introduced the 10% reservation for the economically weaker section. Okay, and now we find this particular thing that in India we are giving reservation around 59.5% reservation we are right now giving. Now in India, according to the Indra Sahani judgment, the maximum reservation that is allowed can be 50%, not more than that. But right now, more than 50% reservation is being given. So basically, the validity of the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act is being debated into the Supreme Court, and in that particular direction, every day there are the arguments and the counter arguments, etc., are going on. So basically, here what has happened? The Attorney General provided that EWS reservation will not impact the SCs, STs, and OBCs in any particular way. Now understand one particular thing very clearly. I say you every day that everyday debates and the arguments that is going in the Supreme Court are not important. Fine, we have discussed this background multiple number of times. Once some ruling final judgment will come, we need to see then moving on, after that the advertisements etc has been given. Then guys, government to spray biodecomposer. Now we'll discuss this particular issue that how the Delhi becomes the gas chamber as the winters will start. So now the winter pollution problem is going to start into the Delhi, and the solutions to deal with that particular thing, we'll see that issue. Then guys, the other tenders etc, fine, they are not important for the examination, so we'll be skipping. Advertisements etc has been given. Okay, then moving on, after that we'll reach directly to the editorial page. Till the editorial page, much of substance is not there, and guys, as you might be having different edition of the Hindu newspaper, that might be the possibility that there will be the different regional issues, but very rarely there are some important news here. Then positioning India in a chaotic world. So this article is talking about the India's foreign policy and the concerns. Fine, we'll see this article. Then moving on, reforms and the task of getting teachers on board. We'll see this particular article. Then guys, after that, promising signs. Now this particular article is talking about the NSCN-IM. Okay, so basically the Naga issue is being discussed here. We'll see this particular one also. Then guys, moving on. So basically guys, this particular article is talking about that how basically how there is a controversy, how basically we see that into the Kerala there is a spat that is going on between the governor Mr. Arif Muhammad Khan, fine, as well as Mr. Vijayan, and all these kind of things have been provided. Then moving on, after that, the growing peril of Bengaluru's missing train. We'll see this particular article with respect to the urban flooding issue that has happened. A blow for dignity. This article also will see that now this article talks about the homosexuality and related issues. We'll see this particular article also. Fine. Then the rice wheat push up inflation, but South bucks the trend. Now, guys, in this particular article, what has happened? The inflation into the different states, fine inflation in Gujarat, Rajasthan, South India, West Bengal. What has been the inflations into the different states? That data is given. Now, you are not required to read this particular article. Why? Because, guys, the state specific inflation, this data is not important. Moreover, even if you are preparing for a state PSC examination, the data that has been provided, this is the present data. By the time you'll write your exam, this data will change. So do you need to require this, read this article? No, not very much needed. Then coming to the text and the context page, so the lumpy skin disease article has come. So guys, today in this particular article, we'll see all the dimensions of the lumpy skin disease, the economic dimension, the biomedical, the medical dimension that is coming, what are the solutions that has been taken. So from the scratch, the entire article we'll see, and after reading this particular article, you don't need to go and read even a single word for the lumpy skin disease. Then the complexity of caste, its analysis and its reading today. Now guys, this is article from the archives. From the archives means that this is a old article that was published earlier and now again it has been republished. Okay, now guys, this particular article is talking about the caste under the Modi regime and all those kind of things. Now the article has been written in a lot of a literary sense. Is it clear or not? Fine. So the article has been written a lot into the literary sense. From the general studies point of view, fine, much importance is not there. Then moving on, after that, BJP playing vote bank politics in Jammu and Kashmir, the political articles, etc., not important for the examination. Okay, then guys, moving on, again the political issues, etc., you need to skip them. Fine. Southwest monsoon begins early withdrawal in the Rajasthan. So now the retreating monsoons will be going to see that. Then after that, China keeps Sri Lanka, Pakistan waiting for loans. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Okay. After that, guys, moving on, Britain looks to future as Elizabeth II is laid to rest. So the Queen Elizabeth's funeral and all those things. So this particular article is coming from past so many of the days. No need to go in this particular thing. Then after that, moving on, Das flags issues with digital lending. We'll see this particular article as what it is talking about. After that, guys, moving on in this particular thing. Okay, basically the trade officials have no bandwidth to take up the fresh FTAs. So guys, the FTA means the free trade agreement. So when a country signs an FTA with another country, the tariff barrier, the tariffs will be reduced, the import duties, etc., will be reduced. Now it has been said that India need to sign more and more FTA. So here basically the government has provided that the trade officials, right now we are negotiating so many of the FTAs with the different countries, fine, including the UK, etc. Okay, so right now we don't have the bandwidth to engage with another country. So first, earlier FTAs that we have started will be concluding them, and then we'll be moving to the another ones. Then after that, moving on, SpiceJet places 90 pilot on leave without pay. Not important article for the exam. Then guys, moving on, in the sports page, fine. So in the sports page, the cricket related news have been there. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing, the sports news, whether the sports news has been important or not. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that UPSC examination, in the UPSC examination, for example, there was a question that was asked a few years back, that how the silicone tape that is being used onto the bats, how they fool the how basically it fools the decision review system. Okay, so that particular thing was asked. Now that is not a sports related article, that is a science and tech related article, that how silicone tape onto the bat fools the DRS system. Okay, so those kind of news you'll not be finding here. Here what is being provided, which cricket team won the match, by what score they won the match, how many wickets have been taken by a bowler, and all these kind of things. Clear? These kind of questions have not been asked into the UPSC. Just 3 years back, 1 or 2 questions were asked. Okay, however, those questions were not about the regular tournaments, etc. Okay, the IPL matches, etc., that is going on. So Asia Cup and all those kind of things are not asked into the UPSC. How we are telling this thing? By seeing the papers that have been asked, that have been there into the past. So therefore, cost to benefit ratio, when you talk about the cost to benefit ratio, there are the hundreds of the tournaments that are going to happen in 1 year, and that I'm talking about few sports. Fine, so if you see all these kind of things, so cost to benefit ratio is not there. Moreover, UPSC has not justified questions in this particular direction up till now. So I hope that you are getting the what I'm trying to say. So that is, guys, all about the articles, and now let's take the important articles, all of them one by one in that detail. Now, in every class, I give you a quotation, the GS quotation that can be used in one of your papers. So today we'll take the quotation from the Albert Hubbard. Now the Albert Hubbard says that responsibility is the price of the freedom. Responsibility is the price of freedom. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about a democracy, we have been given freedom by the virtue of the fundamental rights. For example, when we talk about the article number 19, distinct freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of residence, all the types of freedoms, freedom of trade and commerce, etc., have been provided. Now we understand that the freedom means a license. Okay, so what happens? We understand that the freedom means a license, but the freedom is not a license. License entails that whatever you want you can do. No, that's not the true meaning of freedom. Freedom means that there is an inherent sense of responsibility, and that particular sense of responsibility translates into the sense of duty. So always, whenever there will be the freedom, whenever there will be the right, there will be the duties, there will be the responsibilities which will always be there. Even the Gandhiji said this particular thing, and you can note if you want, Gandhiji said this thing, that today if I am enjoying my rights, it is because somebody else had done their duties, somebody else had done their responsibility. Gandhiji also had written into the Hind Swaraj, Gandhiji said this, everybody's right and nobody's responsibilities, nobody's duty will mean nobody's right. So responsibility is the price of freedom. If you want to enjoy it, you have to pay the price, that is the responsibility. So that is a very, very beautiful quotation. You can use it in GS paper number 2 related answers. You can use it in GS paper number 2 related answers. Okay, just a minute. Fine, so you can use it in GS paper number 2 related answers, GS paper number 4 you can use it, as well as you can use it into the essays. Fine, so that's all, guys, about the GS quotation. And now let's discuss the first article for the today. Now, so the first article that we'll be taking, okay, we have taken it from the regional section though, but this particular article, guys, it is going to be important with respect to the GS paper number 3, GS paper number 3 environment, GS paper number 3 environment. Okay, so how? Let's first of all read the heading and then we'll understand what's the importance of this article. So the article reads, government to spray biodecomposer solution over paddy fields to curb the stubble burning and pollution. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, I would like to give you some of a background first. Fine. Now, the background goes like this. Let's see. Repeatedly, the Supreme Court as well as the National Green Tribunal has provided this particular thing, that during the months of November and December, the North India and particularly the region around the Delhi, it becomes a gas chamber. And as it becomes a gas chamber, the conditions become very bad. It ultimately violates the article number 21 of the Indian Constitution, that is the right to life. Now, this winter pollution problem, it is aggravated because of the many factors. Now, what are the factors? First of all, let's understand. Basically, guys, we find that around the month of the October or November, we celebrate the festival of Diwali. On the Diwali, there are the firecrackers that are bursted, and those firecrackers, it leads to some pollution, number one. Number two, what happens? Then there is the issue of the stubble burning. Now, what is this stubble burning issue? Guys, let's understand this issue little bit into the detail. So basically, you know this thing that the month of the October, the month of the late October and the early November, this is the month when the Rabi crop is to be sown. So wheat is to be sown during this particular month. Now, guys, before this Rabi crop, that is the wheat, is to be sown, this is a time when the earlier standing crops, that is the paddy will be cultivated. So October is the time when the paddy will be harvested, okay, when the paddy will be harvested and the wheat will be sown. Is it clear or not? Now understand this particular thing. Actually, the time duration between the harvesting of paddy and sowing of the wheat is very much less. Just around there is a 10 to 15 days in which this entire process has to be completed. You have to cut down the paddy and you have to sow the wheat. Now, when we harvest the paddy, there is the stubble. There are the leftovers, the stubbles, the husk that is left over into the field. Now the farmers, they don't. Now when we talk about the farmers, many of them are marginal farmers. Many of them are the small farmers. Neither they have time, nor they have money, nor they have resources to dispose this particular the paddy leftover, this particular stubble in some another eco-sustainable manner. What they do, they burn it, and as they burn it, what happens? This stubble burning problem starts, and this stubble burning leads to a lot of smoke and pollution. Is it clear or not? And guys, then the third, that the conditions are aggravated. Why? Because here now the geographical factors will come in between. Here the geographical factors will come in between. So the month of October and November, basically we find this thing that the temperature are increasing, winters are coming, and the slow moving winds are the core feature of this particular time. So there are the slow moving winds, and as there are the slow moving winds, they don't disperse the pollution, is it clear or not? Now guys, you know this particular thing, that what happens when the winter approaches, the surface becomes cool, now what happens, the surface become cools, the wind become heavy, okay, the air becomes heavy, surface becomes cool, the air becomes heavy, and therefore the air rests around the ground, and this particular air is one which has trapped a lot of pollutants because of the smoke. So polluted air rests around the ground, wind is not very much strong, so wind will not be able to disperse all these pollutions, and the gas chamber situation will be developed into the entire North India. So therefore the Supreme Court and the National Green Tribunal NGT had said that the Delhi becomes the gas chamber, and obviously the article number 21, right to life, which entails the right to clean air, will get impacted. Now guys, there have been the petitions that have been filed in the Supreme Court that such kind of issue is to be tackled. Now guys, government of Delhi had come out with a graded response action plan. Government has come out with a graded response action plan. Under this graded response action plan, government takes multiple number of steps in order to curtail this particular problem of winter pollution. Now what government does on that particular thing, now I'll tell you some of the steps that are taken by the government under this GRAP. Now understand this thing, graded response action plan. The word graded means that as pollution will increase, government will take more stringent steps. When pollution will come, government will give relaxation. If but the pollution problem doesn't comes in control, government takes more steps. So under this thing, odd and even policies started into the Delhi. Fine, where the cars onto the registration number plates basis, they are allowed odd and even car system starts. Okay, then government puts a ban onto the bursting of the firecrackers. Government can bring the ban onto the construction activities. Okay, so construction activities will be banned, schools will be closed, colleges will be closed, crackers bursting will not be allowed, odd even will be notified. Okay, and as a part of this particular thing, government has now decided that one long term and sustainable solution is also needed. Now what government is doing, government has come out with the solution, that is the biodecomposer will be sprayed. So what government has decided, that to control the stubble burning as well as to reduce the air pollution, Delhi government will spray the biodecomposer free of cost over the paddy fields in Delhi. Moreover, just one thing beyond the scope of this article, I am telling you that what has actually happened into the past, Delhi government has provided that same biodecomposer we will provide to the state governments of Punjab and Haryana also, so that they can provide this biodecomposer to their farmers. Is it clear or not? So that is something, that is the issue. Now moving on in this particular article. So basically guys, what the article is talking about is that, first of all, let's understand that what is this biodecomposer. Now biodecomposer has been developed by the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, which is called as the PUSA Institute in the short. Okay, so Indian Agriculture Research Institute, PUSA Institute, has developed this biodecomposer. Now what is this biodecomposer? These biodecomposers are in the form of capsules. Now these capsules are made by the extracts of the fungi. Okay, they are made by the extracts of the fungi. Now what they do, basically these capsules, they will be converted into a liquid formulation. So they will be put into a liquid, and a liquid formulation will be prepared. This liquid formulation will be left for 8 to 10 days. Okay, and then this particular liquid will be sprayed onto the stubble that has been left over. So suppose this is a field. In this particular field, the the paddy has been harvested and the stubble, the leftovers have been sprayed, have been stayed in this particular field. So now what will happen? What will happen? Will spray this particular liquid, and after what will happen, and then it will be left. This fungi, it will help to it will produce the essential enzymes, and it will enhance the degrading process. So that particular leftover that has been there, it will basically decompose in a very fast manner. In just a few days, it will completely be decomposed and it will be absorbed into the soil. It will be absorbed into the soil. So biodecomposition will be enhanced. Now guys, you see this particular thing, that obviously if you leave this stubble, it will automatically be getting biodecomposed, but this biodecomposer, it enhances the process. Now these decomposers have multiple benefits. Okay, number one, it improves the fertility and productivity of the soil, as the stubble works as manure and compost. Okay, it will work as manure, it will work as compost. Okay, it will increase the fertility. Then it is efficient, effective, cheaper, doable and practical. Okay, now this is not a very complicated kind of a process. It's very effective, it's very bio-friendly. Okay, it is very cheap. Okay, and the farmers with a very little of training, they can use that particular thing. And thirdly, it is eco-friendly and environmentally useful technology. Why? Because if you use this biodecomposer, then the stubble burning can be controlled. Stubble burning can be controlled. Okay, so this is guys the entire issue that has come in this particular direction. Okay, so this is the entire article. Okay, and guys, one more thing I am telling you, just if you remember few days back, we have seen this particular thing, that now government is also going for the ethanol blending. Okay, so we have started the E20 by 2025. E20 by 2025. In this E20 by 2025, by 2025, 20% ethanol blending target is to be achieved. And when we talk about the ethanol blending, the ethanol can be derived from the sugarcane, but there are the next generation ethanol, and that next generation ethanol can also be extracted by the stubble, the paddy stubble. So the paddy stubble that is left over, it can also be used for making the ethanol, which is again going to be a win-win solution. So that particular converting the stubble in the ethanol, it can also be seen. Fine. So that is the entire issue that has come. Okay, so guys, that is all about this particular article, and a very good article, and it covers our one complete entire dimension. So I hope that you have understood this particular thing. Is it clear or not? Now moving on in the next article. Okay, so there is one comment, sir, there are defense aspirants who also listen to analysis, cover defense news in detail. Dear, that all the defense news we cover in detail. Okay, a few days back also there were many of the issues that had come, and today also there is one entire editorial there is an entire editorial, and there is a dimension on China. So when we'll discuss that particular China dimension, there will discuss all those particular issue, including the issue that came onto the first page, that how China is increasing its presence into the Indian Ocean. So when we talk about the defense dimension, so the China's militarization into the Indo-Pacific has always been a concern, and always such kind of article, whenever it comes, it is discussed. Okay, so again, don't have the FOMO, fear of missing out. Is it clear or not? Because those things have already been integrated. So we have complete one editorial on that particular line today. Okay, fine. The positioning India in a chaotic world. So there that will be taken completely. Okay. Chalo. Now moving to the next article, the lumpy skin disease. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3. Okay, GS paper number 3. Fine. Basically, within the bioscience of diseases, as per the bioscience of the disease, we'll see this particular article. Moreover, this particular article will also be seen with respect to the issues of health in the GS paper number 2. That there also we'll see this particular article. Now guys, moving on. Okay, before going in this particular article, I want to explain one additional concept. Not given in this particular article, that is the concept of One Health. Now what is this One Health concept? Basically guys, understand this thing, that now the idea of One Health advocates that actually the health of environment. See, you have the health of environment, then there is the animal health, environmental health, animal health, and then there is human health. Okay, human health. Okay, so environmental health, animal health, and human health. Okay, in between here, okay, in between here, there is the concept of one health. There is a concept of one health. It is provided that when the health of the and the well-being of the environment, animal and human, will be taken care at the same time, then the one health, that is the health of everybody, will be safeguarded. So today we don't need to look isolatedly. Today we don't need to look these things isolated, that okay, animal health is a different concept, human health is a different concept, and environmental health is entirely a different concept. It is not the case. Okay, all these three factors are combined. So actually today what we need one health. Today we need one health, that is the health of all integrated at one point. Okay, now in this particular thing, when we talk about the lumpy skin disease that we'll discuss in this entire article, lumpy skin disease impacts the animals, and if it is impacting the animal, at the end of the day, the impacts or the basically the spillover effects will also be coming onto the human. We'll see this particular thing also. Okay, so let's start with the article lumpy skin disease. So you might be knowing that from past so many of the days, the lumpy skin disease is going in the news. Even when it started, we have seen it in our newspaper analysis. So basically recently what has happened, the prime minister has done a stock taking exercise of the lumpy skin disease and has informed that the center and the states all are working to control the spread of the lumpy skin disease. And this lumpy skin disease had become a very big concern for the entire dairy sector. Now, what is this lumpy skin disease? Now, this particular dimension is something very important for the prelims examination, because the questions onto the health can come from this particular section. So, what is this lumpy skin disease? It is caused by the lumpy skin disease virus, LSDV. It is caused by the lumpy skin disease virus, and this virus, it belongs to the Capripox virus. Okay, Capripox virus genus. It belongs to, fine, the genus of the Capripox virus, and it is a part of the Poxyviridae family. Okay, so again I am telling you, listen very carefully. So the lumpy skin disease, it is caused by the lumpy skin disease virus. It's caused by the lumpy skin disease virus, and it belongs to the Poxviridae family. Okay, so we have first of all the virus, then there is a genus, and then there is a family. Okay, so it belongs to the Capripox virus genus and Poxviridae family. Clear? Now it is very much a similarity. It is very much similar. It shares the similarities with the sheep pox virus also, as well as the Goatpox virus. Okay, so the basically the symptoms, okay, are very much similar to the sheeppox virus and the Goatpox virus. Now, this is a contagious vector-borne disease. Contagious vector-borne disease. Contagious means contagious means that it spreads from one animal to another animal. Okay, so contagious means it spreads from one animal to another. It is vector borne disease. Vector borne disease means that there is a vector, there is a carrier which spreads the virus from one animal to another animal. For example, a mosquito. So mosquito is a carrier. Suppose there is one animal which is infested with the with this particular. Suppose there is one animal and this animal is infested. So mosquito will bite this animal, and now the mosquito has become the carrier. It is a vector, and this mosquito will then transmit this particular virus to the another animal who will also get infested. So it is a contagious vector borne disease which is spread by the vectors like mosquitoes, okay, flies, ticks, okay, and all of these particular ones. Now according to the United Nation Food and Agriculture Organization, even the animals who are infected, they shed their virus through oral and nasal secretions. So by the nasal secretions, by the oral secretions also, the animals can spread this virus to the another animals, because you know this particular thing that there are the common feeding troughs. Okay, so there is one basically common feeding trough where all the animals eat the food from one particular source, they drink the water. So there the one animal who is infested can infest the other animals also. Okay, so it can be spread by some mosquito as well as animal within themselves can also spread it. Then guys, understand this particular thing. This virus can this particular disease can spread through direct contact or through contaminated food and water. Also it can spread through animal semen during the artificial insemination process. Okay, so all these particular ways as how this particular virus will spread. Then how the spread has happened to India. Now this is a very interesting finding that has been given by the Food and Agricultural Organization. First of all, this particular lumpy lumpy skin disease virus, it is not a new one. It was first discovered in Zambia in 1929. Is it clear or not? So in the Zambia, Africa, it was found. Then after that, it spread to nearby African countries. Then it spread to West Asia. Then it spread to Europe and then Asia. Okay, so from the Zambia, this particular virus spread to most of the parts of the country. Now further, basically, the FAO has provided this thing that when we talk about India, India has a long porous borders between India, Nepal and Bangladesh. Okay, and into basically what happens, there is a significant amount of bilateral and informal animal trade, fine, animal movement. So cattle movement between India, Nepal, Bangladesh is very much frequent, and it has been provided that the lumpy skin disease was witnessed in 2019. How? Because there were some cattle that were brought from the Bangladesh into the India, and the Bangladeshi cattle were infested by the lumpy skin disease. So in 2019 there was an outbreak of the lumpy skin disease because of this uncontrolled movement of cattle that is there. However, this 2019 outbreak subsided. Now again this particular outbreak has begun. So we don't exactly know that whether the outbreak that was started in 2019, it is the manifestation of that outbreak or it is entirely a new outbreak. But the movement of the cattle from one country to another country, for example into the case of the movement between India, Nepal, Bangladesh, which is not regulated, it is leading to this particular problem. Clear? Then understand this particular thing, that what will be the impact on the human beings. Now as of now it has been asserted, as of now there is no studies that a cattle has infested the human being of this lumpy skin diseases. Up till now no such studies have been found. Okay, but however guys, we cannot overrule that there can be the mutations that can happen laterwards. There can be the mutations that can happen, and if this particular virus got mutated, then there might be possibility, but as of now we don't have any study. For example, I want to give you the example of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now SARS-CoV-2 virus was a zoonotic virus. It meant that its origin lied into animal, and originally that particular virus was transmitted within the animals. But now we have seen that because of the mutation that happened into the SARS-CoV-2 virus, it is now infesting the people. But the SARS-CoV-2 is also zoonotic virus. Okay, this lumpy skin disease also a zoonotic virus. Right now it's infecting the animals, but the mutations, how it can happen, we don't know. But as of now it's not impacting the human beings. That has been concluded. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that up till now it has also not been possible to ascertain the presence of this virus into the milk which has been derived from the infected animals. Okay, so the question comes, does it safe that can you drink the milk of the animal who was infected with the lumpy skin disease? So it has been provided that number one, up till now no significant presence has been found into the milk. Fine, so it is safe. Secondly, when we talk about the basically Asia, South Asia, large number of milk is processed after collection. So you might be buying the milk of Mother Dairy in Delhi. In your other state, if you are living, there are other milk. Fine, there is Amul milk. All these milks, they are processed. Okay, they are pasteurized. Okay, or boiled or dried in order to make the milk powder. So this particular process will kill even if there is a very less virus that was there. Moreover guys, we even in India we boil the milk, so that will also destroy the virus. So it is safe to consume the milk, not at all a problem. Now there are the economic implications that are coming because of this lumpy skin disease virus. What is the economic impact? So basically it can lead to substantial or severe economic losses. Who says? The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and the World Organization for Animal Health. So we have the World Organization for Animal Health. Please keep its name in your mind, World Organization for Animal Health. So it provides. Now what actually happens when the animal is infected with the lumpy skin disease? Number one, the milk yield of that particular animal goes down. The milk yield of that particular animal goes down. Now understand that when we talk about the India has one of the largest cattle in the world. In India's rural economy, India's agrarian economy, India's rural economy, India's agrarian economy is dependent onto the cattle. It is dependent onto the milk trade. And as the milk yield of the animal will go down, what will happen? The farmer's livelihood will get impacted. Is it clear or not? So there will be the income losses to the farmer. It will lead to the poor growth. It will lead to the reduced drought power. Now what is the drought power? You know that the cattle, okay, they are also used because of their strength, okay, they are used by the farmers in the field. Okay, so the drought power, okay, so their drought power will also be reduced, the animal become weak, and when the animal become weak, they are not able to do the work into the fields, etc. Okay, then there will be the reproductive problems, okay, and all these kind of a thing, infertility issues will be there. Okay, there will be the lack of semen for artificial insemination, because through the semen this particular disease gets transmitted. So basically the rural economy, which is dependent on to the cattle, dependent on to the animal, that particular dimension of the economy will get impacted. After that, basically it has been provided that the movement and the trade bans that have happen after the infection, they also put an economic strain onto the entire value chain. Now you see, multiple state governments, they have banned the movement of the cattle in their state. For example, in the Mumbai, there is the ban on the movement of the cattle. Clear? So many states have imposed such kind of a ban. It impacts the value chain in the entire system. Is it clear or not? Then guys, next moving on. So basically a risk assessment study has been conducted by the FAO. Okay, and on the basis of the information that has been available, it has been provided that the lumpy skin disease, it is costing around 1.45 billion dollar of direct losses fine into the in the Southeast and Southeast Asian countries. Is it clear or not? So this is something that has been there. Then guys, after moving on, now when we talk about it has been provided that India is the world's largest milk producer. India is the world's largest milk producer, and India's production stands at around 210 million tons annually. Okay, India also has the largest head count of cattle, largest number of buffaloes into the world. So India's dairy sector is particularly more susceptible. Now all these particular things have been discussed, but what can be the remedy, how this particular issue can be resolved? So basically recently what has happened, the Union Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, they had provided that actually the Goatpox vaccine fine is very effective in dealing with the lumpy skin disease. So guys, if you remember, I have just told you here that this particular lumpy skin virus, it shares similarities with the sheep pox virus and the goat pox virus. Fine. So therefore now it has been provided that as it shares similarity with the goat pox virus, so the goat pox virus vaccine can be used to treat this particular thing, and it has been very much effective. Moreover, there is also one more breakthrough that has come in this particular direction. What the case, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ICAR, it has developed an indigenous vaccine for the lumpy skin disease. Okay, indigenous means it is a made in India vaccine for the lumpy skin disease, and the center is planning to commercialize this particular vaccine, will provide this vaccine to all the cattle rearers. So obviously this particular thing will also solve this particular problem. Moreover guys, this also can become a, now listen this particular thing very carefully, so it can become the part of India's vaccine Matri 2.0. Vaccine Matri 2.0. Okay, vaccine Matri 2.0. Okay, please use these words, so vaccine Matri means India's vaccine diplomacy. Now India started the vaccine diplomacy in the 2021, actually in 2021 to be very precise, because when in 2021 we got the approval for India's own vaccines. Okay, so we got the we got the Covishield and the Covaxin. We provided both of these particular vaccines to many of the countries. So that is the vaccine Matri 1.0. Now as the lumpy skin disease, I told you, is prevalent in the entire world, so, and we have prepared this indigenous vaccine for the lumpy skin disease, so it can help in India in resuming its vaccine Matri 2.0. Now further moving on, guys, it has been provided that actually the affected states who have facing the problem of this lumpy skin disease, they have put a ban onto the movement of the animals, cattle. They have isolated the infected cattle, buffaloes. What they are doing, they are spraying the insecticides to kill the vectors like mosquitoes. Some of the states like Maharashtra, Rajasthan are also setting up the dedicated control room helpline numbers to guide the farmers as how to treat the animals or the cattle who have been infected with the lumpy skin disease. So all these particular steps have been taken. All these are the remedies. Now guys, see, understand that wherever there will be the contagious disease, SARS-CoV-2 was a contagious disease, TB is a contagious disease, this lumpy skin disease into the cattle, it is a lumpy skin, it is a contagious disease. So all these particular diseases can be treated with the with a proper strategy where we can keep the animals isolated who have been infected. So that particular step is also being taken up here. Clear? Now, okay, sir, the symptoms of lumpy skin disease. So, dear, lumpy skin disease, it forms the lumps. It forms a kind of a lumps on the body of animal, on the cattle, and they develop fever. They develop fever. Their milk production goes down. Milk yield goes down. So, fever, weakness, and lumps onto the skin. That is the symptom of the lumpy skin disease. Okay, fine. So, all these particular details we have discussed here. Now, guys, I am telling you one thing for very sure. Beyond this particular article that I had provided you here, okay, you are not required to go in detail for exam. If you have some personal interest or if you are a medical student, you should go in detail. But for the examination, for the government examinations, the UPSC examination, you should not go in detail, because in a structured manner we have discussed, first of all, what is a disease, from where the disease is caused, what are the economic impact, what are the steps taken by the India, okay, and all those dimensions have been covered. Okay, so that's it. And now we'll move to the next one. Okay, a blow for dignity. A blow for dignity. Now this particular article, guys, we have taken from the newspaper, and the article will be important for the GS paper number 2, social justice. GS paper number 2, social justice. Okay, as well this particular article will be important for the vulnerable sections, for the vulnerable section of the society. Okay, the homosexuals. Okay, now guys, what this particular article is talking about, this article, okay, is talking about that what has happened recently, the conversion therapy for the homosexuals has been banned. Okay, so that particular issue will discuss in this particular article, and the questions on this particular line can be asked in GS1, GS paper number 2, both. So let's first of all understand this article. And actually, guys, I want to give you here this one particular quotation, okay, which actually has been given by the Madras High Court. So what the Madras High Court says, first of all, read it. Madras High Court says that there are, okay, I'll just zoom it out. I think that you can see it now clearly. So Madras High Court says that there are many branches of the on the tree of, okay, there are the many branches on the tree of life. Okay, in the life there are many branches. So as on tree there are many branches, on the tree of life there are many branches. There is no one way to be, and there is room for everyone to be who they are. Okay, so as no two leaves are identical, as no two branches are identical, in the same way in the life, in the tree of life, no two people will be same. Okay, everybody is unique, and everybody has a right to be unique. Whoever they are, they have right to stay so. You cannot impose certain templates, you cannot impose certain features on everybody is unique, and that is to be respected. So this is the saying, which this is what has been said by the Madras High Court. Where Madras High Court said this thing, it said it in the S Sushma versus Commissioner of Police judgment of 2021. Okay, this was the ruling of Madras High Court. Very good. And guys, see, if you use these particular kind of statements or these particular kind of notings, and if you give the reference of a judgment also, it boosts your marks very radically. Okay, it gives a very big boost to your marks. So if possible, please do use such kind of a references. Now let's discuss this particular case. Okay, now guys, if you see, I am showing you a pictographic here, and on this particular pictographic, we have seen the journey as how the homosexuality in India got decriminalized. First of all, basically, what is homosexuality? What is homosexuality? So basically, guys, we have the people who have same sex preference. We have the people who have the same sex preference. For example, a male having the sexual preference towards another male, or a female having the sexual preference towards the other female. So in the case of male, they are referred to as gays. Into the case of females, they are referred to as lesbians. Okay, so basically the gays and the lesbians, these people come into the definition of the homosexuals, that is the people having the same sex preference. Now when we talk about, guys, the homosexuality in India, homosexuality was a crime. homosexuality was an offense in India. Why? Because we have the Indian Penal Code IPC, and within the IPC there is a section number 377. Now section 377 has said that any kind of a sexual relation between the male and female will be called as unnatural sex. It will be called as unnatural sex, and that unnatural sexual intercourse has been criminalized under section 377. Fine. So first of all, guys, let's see briefly what the journey of the homosexuality has been there in India up till now, and then we'll see that what are the reforms that the Madras High Court has talked about, and what actually has happened by the what has happened now. We'll first see the journey. So basically, now the Indian Penal Code, I told you, just a minute, I'll use a different color pen. So I told you that as per the Indian Penal Code 1860, it criminalizes any sexual activity against the order of nature. Now what is against the order of nature? Order of nature is any sexual intercourse which is happening between the same sex people, and there can be the punishment up to 10 years. Okay, now understand this particular thing, that the Thomas Macaulay in 1838 worked, and the Thomas Macaulay in 1838 worked on the IPC, Indian Penal Code. Indian Penal Code was drafted in 1838 and it was brought in force into the 1860. Now within the IPC section 377 that we talk about, it is based on the British sodomy law. It is based on the British sodomy law. So the British sodomy law also criminalizes the homosexuality in Britain, and on that particular line in India, what we added the section 377 in the IPC. So that is something that happened. Now guys, as the homosexuality was going on over the period, the people came out and they got organized into the form of the pride movements. People got organized into the form of the pride movement, and they said that if any person is having any kind of a sexual orientation, any sexual preference, then why the government is coming in between? At the end of the day, freedom of life, freedom of liberty, freedom of choices has been given by the Constitution of India. So therefore guys, what happened, the petitions have been filed in multiple high courts around the country, and one petition was filed into the Delhi High Court. And actually in 2009, what happened? In 2009, what happened? The Delhi High Court said that the section 377 is leading to the violation of the section 377 is leading to the violation of the fundamental rights provided under article 14, article 15, article number 29. And the Delhi High Court declared section 377 as unconstitutional, and provided that the sex between the consenting adult is not a crime. Whatever sexual preference they have, if there is a consent between two individuals, that can be carried. It is not a crime. So section 377 was decriminalized. Okay, section 377 was decriminalized in 2009. Then actually guys, the next step that came was in 2013. Now what happened in 2013? Supreme Court came, and Supreme Court set aside the verdict of the Delhi High Court. Now why? Supreme Court provided this particular thing. Okay, Supreme Court provided this particular thing, guys. Now you might be, just a minute. Okay, yes. So what happened actually? The Supreme Court provided this particular thing, that in India, in India we follow the theory of separation of powers. And as per this particular theory of separation of power, legislature has the work to draft the law, executive has the work to execute the law, and the judiciary will make sure that the legislature and executive are doing their work. Now the Supreme Court gave the ruling that actually the Delhi High Court has interfered into the domain of legislature and executive, and particularly the legislature. Now if a law was to be struck down, then that particular thing should have been brought by the legislature. The bill should has been raised into the parliament. Moreover guys, understand this particular thing, that actually 2009 Delhi High Court decriminalized it, and when the Supreme Court is coming in between 2013, in between there were the 4 years. Supreme Court gave the logic that in these 4 years, if the parliament would have to decriminalize this particular law, they would have raised a bill. But if the parliament is not wanting, if legislature is not wanting, we don't have any authority to do that particular thing. So by the logic of not breaching the theory of separation of power, Supreme Court again revived the section 377. Now guys, understand this particular thing. I had seen that 99% of aspirants, or nearly about that particular number, they have a basically a kind of a confusion. They think that the Supreme Court revived it because of some interpretation of Supreme Court that this is needed in India. But no, that was not the case. Supreme Court's interpretation was not that this is a good law or this is needed. Supreme Court's interpretation was that the theory of separation of power has been breached because the judiciary has struck the law, and but striking a law needs to be the work of a legislature. So this is something you need to have such clarity in your mind now. So this is something that 2013 that happened. Now guys, understand that when we talk about these particular judgment, the 2009 judgment of the Delhi High Court, it is also called as, okay, I'm writing here, it is also called as the Nas Foundation case. Okay, it is also called as the Nas Foundation case. Okay, so you can remember that. Then guys, 2013 Supreme Court judgment, where it again revived the section 377. It is called as the Suresh Kumar Kaushal case. Suresh Kumar Kaushal case. Okay, so if you want, you can remember the name of the judgment, fine. Otherwise not very much needed. And even guys, you are actually, see, you are even not required to remember the years too much. Okay, that 2009 was the year or 2008 was the year. You are not required to sweat too much onto that particular thing also. Okay, then guys, what happened in 2013, Supreme Court set aside the verdict of the Delhi High Court and passed the ball to the Parliament. Okay, it set aside, okay, the Delhi High Court's verdict will not stay, and referred to the Parliament that, okay, now first of all I told you that basically in 4 years Parliament would have acted. That was the assumption of Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court said that, okay, you are being given more time, that if you want you can take the decision on this particular matter. So this particular matter was referred to the Parliament. Okay, please review what you want to do that particular thing. Then guys, what happened? Actually the government did not showed any inclination to decriminalize this particular law. Rather, government provided that actually when we talk about the homosexual people, they are a minuscule section of the society, very less number of people. So therefore, let's keep this particular section 377. So therefore, in 2014, Supreme Court held section 377 will be constitutional. So section 377 got revived again. Okay. Then guys, what happened? Meanwhile, the Shashi Tharoor, okay, introduced a private member's bill to decriminalize the homosexuality, but the bill was rejected. And finally, the most important judgment came in India. That is, what happened? 2016, Supreme Court referred the challenging against Section 377 to a 5-judge bench, saying that there are several constitutional dimensions of importance to be considered. So 2016 it was referred, and 2018 finally the ruling came out. We call it as Navtej Singh Johar case. And now understand this particular thing, guys. 2016 matter was referred. Judgment was given in 2018. What was the name of judgment? Navtej Singh Johar case. In this particular judgment, Supreme Court provided this particular thing, that the section number 377 of the Indian Constitution, it is basically they decriminalized the section 377. Okay, they provided this particular thing that if the consenting individual are having the sexual intercourse, if there is a consent, then it will not be crime, and the homosexuality cannot be treated as a crime. That is something that happened. Okay, so this is the guys entire issue that is going on. Okay, fine. Okay, so guys, in your notes, I had written this particular Nalsa judgment 2014. Just a line by mistake it has been written here, so ignore this particular thing. Fine. Fine. So I have provided you this particular issue also here, that the Supreme Court of India decriminalized homosexuality in Navtej Singh Johar case 2018. Okay, already I have provided you here in notes. You can read that. Now, what's the present case that has come? What's the present issue? Okay, now basically the present issue that has come is that that the law has decriminalized homosexuality, but have the society accepted? We know that society still has a lot of taboo. Society still have a lot of prejudices against the people who are gays, who are lesbian. So society has not accepted this particular thing. And because society has not accepted, what the society is going on? Society is going for the conversion therapies. Now, what is this conversion therapy? Understand this particular thing. Suppose a parent discover that their son is gay. Fine. Now, these parents will not accept this particular fact. The parents will not accept this particular fact that a person can be gay, a person can be lesbian. It is not a disease. It is not a kind of a hormonal imbalance. It is not a psychological problem. It is just the way that they are. Now everybody has a different kind of a preferences. So see, when we have preferences of food, when we have the preference of clothing, when we have the preferences for our likes and dislikes, why we can't have preferences for the sexual orientation that we want? But the people have not accepted this particular fact. And what happened here, basically, in order to correct this particular anomaly, the people, they go for the conversion therapy. Sometimes the parents are using this conversion therapy, sometimes the institutions are using this conversion therapy. What is this conversion therapy? That this particular person who is a gay, it is, this particular person is needed to be made as heterosexual. Now these conversion therapies, okay, these are the dangerous, discredited practices. It means that they have not been, they don't have any scientific basis, they have not found any acceptance into the medical sciences. Okay, so these particular discredited, dangerous practices are done, and these practices claim that they will change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. Okay, now what happen into these conversion exercises? Okay, so counseling will be done. Okay, it will be told that okay, there is nothing like same sex preference, okay, gay and all these kind of concepts don't exist in our country. So these counselings type of things will be done. Then there will be the correctional rape. Now what is correctional rape? Correctional rape means that, let's say, basically, suppose there is a girl. Now obviously a girl is having the sexual preferences towards the other girl. Now this particular girl will be forcefully be made to go through one sexual intercourse with the male, and the male will be forced to that they had to go through a sexual activity with a female. So these are the correctional rape. Then there are the exorcism means some kind of a jhad fook type of a thing. Okay, so some black magic and all such kind of a remedies. Okay, forceful starving, not giving them food. Okay, electroconvulsion. Okay, giving them electric shocks. Okay, shock therapy. Okay, marriage therapy. Okay, fine. Aversive stimulation, religious counsel. Okay, now guys, all these particular things have been provided. After that, okay, there is also the lobotomy. Now lobotomy, what is lobotomy? Lobotomy is a surgical incision that will be made into the prefrontal lobe of the brain. Okay, so basically when we talk about brain, okay, now guys, the brain is responsible for deciding the preferences, deciding the choices, okay, and all these kind of things. So people think that it is a mental problem. And lobotomy means a surgical operation of a brain, or within the brain, the prefrontal lobe of the brain, surgical operation will be done. So all these particular things, they don't have found any evidence. So therefore these conversion therapies don't make any sense. Now guys, what has happened, actually, this particular judgment that I have discussed into the start, that is the S. Sushma versus Commissioner of Police judgment. Now this particular judgment was given by the Madras High Court, and in this particular judgment, Madras High Court has very clearly provided that there are many branches on the tree of the life. Everybody is different, so they should not be forced. And in this particular judgment, that is the S. Sushma versus Commissioner of Police, Madras High Court banned the conversion therapies. Fine. So Madras High Court prohibited the conversion therapy in the Tamil Nadu and suggested that action should be initiated against the professionals who are carrying this conversion therapy. Now guys, what had happened? The National Medical Commission, it has issued an advisory to the entire country, and the NMC has provided this particular thing, that these particular therapies will not be allowed. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the conversion therapies, it has been provided that they have been declared as a professional misconduct. Okay, now these professional therapies applies to the forcible conversion. Okay, if a forcible conversion is there, these therapies will not be allowed. But at the same time, okay, these therapies can still exist, the families can still force. So therefore it has been provided that right now there is a need of an hour is to enact a stringent, effective and a devoted piece of legislation. We need a separate law which should ban all these particular kind of things. So it has been provided that we need to bring a law, and a criminal liability is needed to be imposed on the people who are going for these criminal therapies. Now see, as of now, the medical professionals cannot go for these criminal therapies, but what about the people who are forcing the other ones? So we need a law which will provide the punishment. Now it has been provided that when we talk about the dignity of an individual can be preserved when his choices will be preserved. Dignity of individual is based onto the constitution. Now it has been provided that the dignity involves that every person, citizen, irrespective of their caste, creed, gender or sexual orientation, is to be respected. Okay, now guys, it has been provided Dr. B.R. Ambedkar held that the appearance Dr. B.R. Ambedkar held this particular thing, that the appearance of the term dignity in the preamble to our constitution stemmed from the unique conviction. Okay, so basically the dignity that has been provided by the preamble, okay, that has a kind of a big conviction of Indian civilization. We need to preserve that. Moreover, guys, there is one very beautiful line that has been given in the article, and I have added in your notes. No past civilization glories, no future superpower status, nothing rebounds more to the true greatness of a nation than the dignity of every individual in it. So individual's dignity is the most important thing. Superpower status will mean nothing if the individual's dignity is not sustained. So these are, guys, all the issues that have been carried in this particular article. Okay, so guys, actually I'm trying to make sure that whenever we are discussing one particular article, that particular article should be done in completeness. Okay, and for that particular thing, please do utilize the discussion very fruitfully. What I want to say, please do revise these particular things from time to time. Just don't leave them once you have read it. Now moving to the next one. Positioning India in a chaotic world. Positioning India in a chaotic world. So guys, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international relations. GS paper number 2, international relations. So basically, guys, now what has happened recently, the Prime Minister of India has visited the Uzbekistan. Why? Because in the Uzbekistan, the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting has happened. By the way, guys, in the previous week, Friday, Saturday, when this particular meeting was going on, we have discussed this entire meeting in very detailed background, as well as we have also seen that what are the issues that are coming, what are the things that have been said by the Indian Prime Minister, what are the assertions by China, all those things we have seen it. Okay, now moving on. So basically, it has been provided that we have the Indian Prime Minister has visited the SCO, and it is a test case for the government how to deal with the current conflicts and attempt new guidelines for the future. Now see, basically, guys, now the article is saying that we need to reassess the India's foreign policy. We need to reassess the India's foreign policy. Now in this particular dimension, guys, understand this particular thing, that first of all, what has happened in the SCO meet, China has provided this particular thing, that the China is willing to make efforts with Russia. So China and Russia are willing to make the efforts to assume the role of a great power. Now, China had said that China and Russia, will become the great power, will assume the role of a great power. Why they want to become great power? So China and Russia want to become the great power because on another hand, there is a conflicting partner, that is the USA. So this particular thing shows that in the world, there is a kind of a divided nature of the world today. The world has been divided. Now the China and Russia are saying that we will bring the stability in the world. We will bring the stability into the world. So China is actually saying this particular thing, that we will bring stability. We will bring stability. But the question comes that do the China's credentials are something like that they can bring the stability? Now guys, in the name of bringing stability, what has happened? Fine, let's refer to one of the article. Okay, so in the name of bringing the stability, what has happened? I hope that the screen is visible. So in the name of bringing the stability, China has also assumed the powerful role, okay, surveillance role into the Indo-Indian Ocean region also. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that what has happened, the Beijing, okay, the China has maintained a continuous presence into the Indian Ocean region after the 2008. What's the excuse that the China is giving? China says that we are curbing the anti-piracy operation. Okay, now guys, you know this particular thing, that actually Somalia, fine, you might be knowing about the Somalia. So basically from the Somalia, or the countries around the Horn of Africa, okay, the Horn of Africa. So in the Horn of Africa, the countries that is there, okay, particularly within the Horn of Africa, Somalia, it is the one where the piracy who had led it. Now the China is assuming the role here. What's the logic to bring the stability into the region? Now, guys, this particular thing, when we talk about it, into the name of bringing the stability, what has happened at any point, there have been 5 to 8 Chinese Navy units, warships, research vessels, fine, that have been into the Indian Ocean region. Now, when we talk about the Indian Ocean region, India has a substantial stakes into the Indian Ocean region. Now, guys, China is trying to gain the legitimacy of leaving their 5 to 8 ships always into this particular region. Now, obviously, India also comes in a kind of a fix. India also comes in a dilemma. We cannot say that the anti-piracy is bad. No, anti-piracy is very much needed. Fine. And therefore, basically, China is using a very kind of a cleverness in this particular thing. Is it clear or not, guys? Now the question comes that actually this particular thing is impacting the national interest. Now, what is the national interest of India? India wants to maintain its own interest. Now, China has become an adversary already into the LAC. China has become already an adversary into the LAC, and now, guys, China might try to gain the supremacy even into the Indian Ocean region by the presence of its vessels. So basically, guys, the same point I was referring here in this particular article, that what has happened. Again, read this particular point. China says this thing, that today we are playing a role to inject the stability and positive energy into a world rocked by the social turmoil. Fine. So, in this particular name, China is claiming its legitimacy that is going on. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that India, I told you, has participated into the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, as India has participated into the SCO, India has given a very clear signal that India wants to become the part of both the blocks. Now, what both blocks are there? Understand this thing, that, guys, actually there is one block led by Russia and China. On another hand, there is another block that is led by USA. Now, see, you might be knowing this particular thing, that India is a partner under the Quad, that is the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, which is the grouping of the 4 countries, that is the India, Japan, Australia and USA. So India is already a partner under the Quad, fine, and at the same time we are the partner under the SCO also. So we are trying to maintain a balance between both the blocks, that is the Russia and China block and the USA block, because we are the partner of SCO, we are the partner of Quad. Now, guys, India is running a new version of non-alignment, that is steering the independent course. Now, see this particular thing. Just I want to explain this particular thing in little bit detail. Fine. Just I'll go a little bit beyond the scope of this particular article. See this thing. What has happened? We ran the non-alignment in after the Cold War. In the Cold War era, the non-alignment policy was the foreign policy of India, where we did not took any side. Neither we took the side of USA nor we took the side of USSR during the Cold War. But now, after the Cold War, now after particularly the 2020, the Minister of External Affairs had said that India's foreign policy got changed, and today our foreign policy is characterized by strategic autonomy. It is characterized by strategic autonomy. What is the strategic autonomy? It means that India will have no permanent friends, India will have no permanent enemies. We'll choose our partners as per our need, as per the time. So if we need at a particular time China, we'll use China. As a particular time we need some other country, we'll have that. So India's foreign policy has turned to strategic autonomy. Guys, please note down this particular word. If you are writing any answer onto the foreign policy, please make sure the strategic autonomy, which has become a new plank in Indian foreign policy, it should come in your answers. Now, basically, guys, so India is by participating into the SCO, it is showing to the world that we are following strategic autonomy. We'll follow both the camps simultaneously, the USA as well as the Russia and China. Now, guys, it has been provided that it is an earlier test case of India. It is an earlier test case of India. In the past, what has happened just a few days back, the USA and other Western countries, they have appreciated India. They have complimented India for the role that India has played into the Quad. They are happy that India is coming from our side, but no, India will go to the other side also, because we run the strategic autonomy. So it is a test that whether India will be successful or not. So we participated in Quad, and now we are going into the SCO. So we are testing that whether this particular thing is viable or not. Now, guys, when we talk about testing testing India's independent strategic autonomy, India is also now trying to again cultivate the relations with the Iran. Now you know this particular thing. I have told you multiple number of times, even yesterday I have told you this particular thing, that Iran happens to be a very important partner of India, particularly of multiple reasons. Number one, guys, that we used to Iran, we used to import oil from Iran. We used to import oil from Iran till 2019, and Iran was giving us a very good price. Okay, but after 2019, we stopped importing oil from Iran because Donald Trump threatened that the sanctions will be imposed on India. Secondly, guys, that in Iran we have developed the Chabahar port. In the Iran, we have developed the Chabahar port. Now, this particular Chabahar port will give the connectivity to the Central Asia. Will give the connectivity to the Central Asia. Now, we want to again we want to cultivate the relations with the Iran so that we can use this Chabahar port effectively, as well as we can take the advantage of Iranian crude oil. Now, again we want to start the relations with the Iran. Now, up till now, the relations were put at a back burner because of the threats. Okay, we have freeze the relations, but now we want to resume it so that we can give that we follow the strategic autonomy. Now, when we talk about the India's foreign policy, guys, actually presently it is appearing passive rather than active. Now we are actually putting forward the issues which are not very much important. For example, guys, less important events. For example, we abstained from voting in the United Nations on the Ukraine issue. It is being called as our policy that will not vote against the Russia. Fine, in the Russia Ukraine crisis we call it as a policy. But understand this particular thing, that when we had given this particular thing, we are forgetting other important issues. Basically, see this particular thing, it has been said that we need to refashion India's foreign policy. We need to refashion India's foreign policy. It has become important. Now, for example, I want to give you one example. Okay, basically we say today when we talk about the China, India-China dispute is going on in India, is going on LAC. Now, it is a near-term problem for India. It is a near-term problem for India. It's not the case if relations today are going bad with the China, for other decades also it will go bad. You need to understand that the relation with any country follows this particular kind of a pattern. There will be point when the relation will go down, then there will be the point when the relations will be doing good, then there will be that again time that the relations will go down. Now, right now the relations with the China are not good. Now, India should not fall into the trap of current adversarial relationship with China as carved in stone. What it means, India should not think that what is happening right now, it is carved in stone, always the same kind of relation will be there. We need to make sure that our foreign policy needs to be creative. Now, guys, I'm highlighting this word, please see it very carefully. So India's foreign policy need to be creative. Fine, we need to leave open the space that there can be an improvement into the India-China relation. We should not identify it as a permanent adversary. So our foreign policy needs to be innovative. Our foreign policy needs to be creative, where we can change our foreign policy from time to time. We should not see that China is going to be a adversary into the long term. So this is one need that is needed. So basically, it has been provided that we need to refashion relations with the China over a long term. It is very much important. Okay. Moreover, guys, understand this particular thing, that what has happened recently, there is a closeness between the China and Russia relations that has happened. Now, to break that particular nexus also, there needs to be some kind of alignments into the Indian foreign policy. Then there is one more suggestion that has been given in this particular article. It says that right now, basically, our nuclear dimensions also needs to get changed. So when we talk about the nuclear dimension, India follows the no first use doctrine. No first use doctrine means that India will never use first their nuclear weapons. But now we need to consider this no first use doctrine. We need to understand this particular thing, that India is wedged, India is sandwiched between the two hostile nuclear powers, that is the China and Pakistan. Okay, so China and Pakistan might use their nuclear might, and in this capacity, India cannot afford to have this no first use policy. So even the nuclear policy of India needs to get changed. That is something that has been provided. So the article says that today we need to bring a total transformation into the Indian foreign policy. It needs to be more creative, it needs to be more innovative, it needs to deal with the complex issues, fine, in the multiple manners. So that is something which is being provided in this particular article. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. Reforms and the task of getting teachers on board. Okay, now this particular article, guys, talks about the recent reforms that have been brought into the education system in the Andhra Pradesh. Now, though, guys, for the UPSC, the reforms are taken in one sector in any one state is not important, but we can give this particular example as a case study. So we can use it as a case study into the GS paper number 2, answers related to the education, answers related to the education. Okay, so what has happened now? First of all, guys, understand that when we talk about the education, when we talk about the schools, when we talk about education, education's outcomes depend on to the teacher's quality. See, books, aids, computers, technology cannot work if a teacher is not good. So the teacher's pedagogical skill plays a very important role in making sure that the students are understanding the complex issues with comfort, with ease. So the teachers always a very important core pillar of any education system. Now, guys, today the Andhra Pradesh is shifting its focus from the content retention, just learning, to building a critical thinking, problem solving abilities. Okay, experiential learning, the Andhra Pradesh is trying to promote holistic learning, integrated, inquiry driven, enjoyable learning. This is something that the Andhra Pradesh is trying to promote, and in this particular thing, the teachers are going to play a very important role. But if you know, in the schools we find this particular problem that there is the teacher absenteeism that is there. Teachers are not having the professional conduct into the classes, discuss going on in some many unnecessary kind of a things. So basically, in order to make sure that the teachers are disciplined and dedicated, that Andhra Pradesh has introduced the face recognition app. Okay, so the school education department has introduced this face recognition app. Now this app has to be downloaded onto the mobile phone, and the teachers need download it onto their personal mobile phones, and they need to record their daily attendance. Now the teachers have become angry. Teacher says that this particular thing, this particular app might track a lot of their personal data, and it might impact their right to privacy. Teachers are angry. Teachers say that we'll not download this particular app, and if you want to us to download this particular app, you give us some device, you give us mobile phone, a separate mobile phone, on that we'll download it, so that our privacy is not violated. Is it clear or not? Fine. So therefore, citing the security reasons, the teachers union are refusing to follow this particular app. They have demanded that the government should provide them devices as had happened into the past. Now we need to understand that such kind of measures are needed in order to make sure that the teacher absenteeism is not there in the India. To ensure transparency, to ensure the accountability, this particular kind of a system is needed. Now the state is going on some radical changes. It is bringing changes into the curriculum, all those kind of a things. Now we need to understand this particular thing, that the government needs to be innovative. Government needs to bring effective motivation. Small scale incentivization is needed. Teachers are to be incentivized. Teachers are to be motivated, so that they help the government in this particular line. So this is something that is needed, and by that particular thing, basically teachers can be brought on board. They can be nudged to download these particular kind of an application. So guys, actually this initiative is very good. This initiative is very good, but the implementation needs to be made more effective by being more innovative. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. The growing perils of Bengaluru's missing train. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 1, GS paper number 1, phenomena of urban flooding. Phenomena of urban flooding. Okay, now let's discuss this particular article. So you might be knowing, guys, that there were devastating floods that were there into the Bangalore few days back. Okay, now when we talk about, guys, in the past 15 years, India has seen several episodes of extreme rainfall into the 24 hours, and every year we find that one or the other metropolitan city is submerged because of the extraordinary rains that are happening. Now this year there are the Bangalore floods. Last year there was the floods in the Chennai. Before that there was the flood in the Hyderabad. Then again there was the Mumbai. So every year one or the other metropolitan city is flooded because of the extra torrential rains. There are torrential rains that are happening. Now, guys, it has been said that Mumbai received 900 of rain in 2005. Okay, in 24 hours. China received 300 of the rain in 2015. Okay, Bangalore have received 130 of rain. Now in 24 hours, such so much of the rain, it's exacerbating the problem of urban flooding. Now understand this particular thing, that the climate change is intensifying now. Okay, and according to just I want to add one particular fact from my side. According to the IPCC sixth assessment report that they have published, they have provided this particular thing that the temperature will increase by 1.5 degrees Celsius before 2040. Before 2040, the temperature will increase by 1.5 degrees Celsius. So as climate change will happen and 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise will happen, what will happen? More evaporation. The surface will become more warm, the temperatures will increase, so more evaporation, and more evaporation from oceans means that the large amounts of water will be pumped, more water vapors will be formed into the short period of time, and when there will be more water vapors, more evaporation, it will lead that more rains and the events will be increased. Now further understand this particular thing, into the past we have seen that there is extraordinary warming of the Arabian Sea that is happening. Now when we talk about, guys, the cyclones, so traditionally the cyclones were associated with the Bay of Bengal, but now the Arabian Sea also, the cyclones are emerging because the Arabian Sea is also becoming warm and warm. So now the earlier the cyclones that were associated with the Bay of Bengal as well as onto the eastern coast, now these cyclones are becoming problematic in Arabian Sea. So therefore the cities onto the western coast, for example the Mumbai, okay, the cities in Gujarat, okay, they have become more susceptible. The entire Maharashtra, fine the Karnataka, they have become more susceptible in this particular direction. Now when we talk about the Bengaluru, it has been provided that actually Bengaluru had always many advantages and such kind of flooding was not expected into the case of Bengaluru. Now what are the advantages of Bengaluru? First of all, high elevation. There is high elevation, so because of the elevation the flooding, such kind of an incident was not assumed that it is going to be a very big problem. After that, guys, there is undulating topography. Undulating topography, it is not, it is that which is not plain, okay, so undulating topography, this type of topography is there into the Bengaluru. Then there are the interconnected lakes. Interconnected lakes, now guys, the lakes, they act as the buffer zone. So if there is an excess water, these water will go into the lakes, so lakes as a natural buffer, natural reservoir. Then there are the green spaces that can soak rain, okay, and then there was the Rajakaluas, okay. Now what does Rajakaluas are? Storm water drains, they have always helped in conveying or carrying the excess water that has come. So all these particular things were the natural advantages of the Bengaluru, and therefore the flooding into the Bengaluru was always, it was thought it will be minimized. But now what has happened, these natural as well as the human made advantages have been squandered means that they have been taken away, they have been abused, they have been misused, they have been diminished, okay. Now what has happened, we have seen that over the years there have been multiple illegal as well as legal constructions that has happened, and this particular thing has impacted the lakes. Now lakes got vanished, wetlands got vanished, so lakes, natural reservoirs, so wetlands which was the natural reservoirs, they got vanished. We find this particular thing, that natural hydrologic connectivity. Now for example, what is this natural hydrologic connectivity? For example, there is particular lake. Now this lake is connected with a wetland. Now this wetland is connected with another lake. Clear? Then guys, then there is a stream, a river which is connecting these particular lakes. Then guys, again there is one particular lake. So we call this particular thing that it was a natural basically we call it as that it was a natural hydrologic connectivity. Now this connectivity has broken. How? What has happened actually? This particular lake was removed, and in this particular place there was a kind of a high rise building, there was a multi complex, okay, there was a housing society, etc. was created. So these hydrologic connectivity had got disturbed. Fine. At local scales, pile of garbage in smaller drains has been there. Now these drains, they are getting blocked by these garbages, it is impacting. So therefore guys, we find this thing that the Bengaluru, it is getting impacted. Fine. Urbanization, when we talk about any country, urbanization is an inevitable process of the development. The cities such as London, cities such as Chicago, New York, they have seen a lot of urbanization into the past. Their urbanization was also a problem. So urbanization will be the global phenomena. Every country which will go towards development, urbanization will happen. But we need to deal with the challenges of urbanization. See, cities have been called as the engines of growth, engines of economy. According to the Niti Aayog, by 2030, 66% of India's GDP will come from the cities. So cities will be important. Urbanization will go on, but we need to deal that urbanization urbanization is not bringing such kind of a things that we are destroying the lakes, we are destroying the wetlands, and we are making our cities more susceptible. Such kind of thing should not be there. Now, what is the way forward? Okay, so guys, these way forward are very much important for your examination. So what are the way forwards? Number one, we need to make sure that the civil and hydrologic re-engineering is taken care. So we need to go for hydraulic re-engineering. It means that the green spaces, fine, the blue spaces are needed to be reclaimed. So basically we need to invest in blue and green infrastructure with accountable governance and management systems. Now what is green infrastructure? Green infrastructure means we need to increase the green cover. We need to increase green cover, we need to increase the patches of the forest, we need to increase the tree cover. Okay, and blue cover means that we need to restore the lakes, reservoirs, okay, streams, we need to restore them. So blue infrastructure is restoring the water, reservoirs, lakes, wetlands, and green infrastructure is restoring the forest, tree cover, etc. Now guys, these particular things is important, and accountable governance is needed to be created. Now the government, they had carried for construction, real estate projects were taken. Such kind of a thing is needed. Not needed, accountable governance is needed. On the city scale, we need to restore hydrologic connectivity using the mitigation measures. Fine, linear hydrologic barriers should be explored. Basically, I told you that hydrologic connectivity, that is connectivity of one lake with some other wetland, or one wetland was connected with another lake, then the lake was connected through another stream, then there was another lake. So this hydrologic connectivity that has now been broken. Why? Because in between the infrastructure projects have been developed, it needs to be restored. Okay, and then it has been provided that after that the citizens, local ward officials, the staff, they need to work together, and they should not dump the solid waste and garbage into the storm water drainages, because when you put the garbage there, they get blocked, and then they lead to the flooding gets aggravated. Okay, then guys, it has been provided that basically all remaining green spaces of cities, such as the grasslands, green campuses, lakes, must be seen that they are the lungs and the shock absorbers. Okay. Moreover, early warning systems such as the sensors across the water bodies, drains need to be erected, so that if they are seeing an event of overflowing, then some mitigating steps can be taken. So sensors, so technology can be used here. So all these are, guys, the suggestions in this particular direction that has come. Okay, so that is all, guys. Now a very beautiful article for GS paper number 1, urban flooding. And understand this particular thing, guys. One thing, please listen me very carefully. All the issues that I have mentioned here, they are not only unique to the Bengaluru. Fine, the same approach has been carried in across all the cities, that hydrologic connectivity is being broken, storm drainages are dumped, blocked, all these things. So make sure that, see, if the urban flooding as a generic question is being asked, the same points you'll be using it. Fine, so that is all the issue. Fine, and a full length question can be asked on such kind of a line the next year. Fine, so now we'll move to the next article. Okay, so there is one question that has come. Sir, please suggest how to read and understand easily the Hindu as a beginners. Sir, please tell, here is so much hesitation and confusion in mind, how to overcome it. Dear, just in order to help that you are not able to understand Hindu, we are doing this particular analysis. Is it clear or not? So just you can take the help of the analysis that we are taking, and once you understand, then you can read it at your own also. Clear? Fine. So once you can understand, you can then start reading at your own. When you know all the backgrounds, once you understand the article, fine. Then moving on. China keeps Sri Lanka, Pakistan waiting for loans. Okay. Now this particular article, guys, will see with respect to the issues going on in neighborhood. The issues going on in neighborhood, GS paper number 2. The neighborhood issues, GS2. Now, basically, guys, actually, what this particular article is talking about. Now, first of all, understand, we know that right now the Pakistan, there is a flooding going on in Pakistan. So, Pakistan floods have been there. And then when we talk about the Sri Lanka, in the Sri Lanka, there is the economic crisis that is going on. So, Sri Lankan economic crisis and the Pakistan floods, both the countries need the economic assistance, financial assistance. And at the same time, guys, we know this particular thing, that both the countries have went very much closer to the China into the past. For example, the Pakistan has always been an all-weather friend, all-weather ally of the China. Fine, the China is helping the Pakistan in the China-Pakistan economic corridor. China-Pakistan economic corridor. Moreover, the China is also very important. The Pakistan and China are also connected under the Belt and Road Initiative. Then, guys, when we talk about the Sri Lanka has provided the 99-year lease of Hambantota port. Sri Lanka has provided a 99-year lease of the Hambantota port to the China. Recently, a surveillance vessel of the China got docked into the Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka has always gave a lot of support to the China. Is it clear? So Pakistan and Sri Lanka have always been near to China, and now as they are facing crisis, obviously where they'll go? They'll go to their friend China. But what has happened? Now, recently what happened? Basically, the Pakistan army chief visited the China for some help because the flood that has come. Now, what China had said that we'll give you the technical assistance. So China has offered the technical help. Okay, how to remove the water, will tell you, technical help will give, but the financial help has not been announced by the China up till now to the Pakistan. So what's happening? It's like this, that okay, we'll teach you but will not give you money. So this is coming that okay, Pakistan was thinking China is an all weather ally. That is the case, but right now in the crisis, right now into the crisis, what has happened? The China has offered the technical help as a country which is dealing with the floods, but did not announce any substantial financial assistance. Now here also there are certain issues that had come. Now what are the issues? Basically guys, the Pakistan and Sri Lanka are already facing huge financial stress. Okay, now basically into the past the China has provided more than 26 billion dollar to both the countries in past 5 years. So China is thinking that what is the viability of the money that is given. Already 26 billion dollar into the past 5 years have been given. Clear? And guys, now the China has not expressed any desire to give the assistance to the Pakistan into this particular thing. Now guys, in this particular capacity, the Sri Lanka is already going to the IMF. From IMF it is asking the money. Okay, so that is the issue that has come in this particular direction. So what has happened? China keeps Sri Lanka, Pakistan waiting for the loans. Okay, so Beijing, the China has asked both the countries to tide over difficulties together, trust each other, support each other. Okay, so all these kind of things, okay, that will support, we are there with you. Okay, fine, but help has not been given. That is something that has come. So this is all guys about this particular article. Now you see there will not be a full length question that will come on this article. Clear? For example, we have discussed this article here onto the urban flooding. Now this is article on which the entire question will come. This article, such kind of articles you need to use just in reference. Okay, so just in a reference you need to use this article. So always understand this particular thing. Fine. Now moving on to the next one. Okay, DAS flags issues with the digital lending such as data privacy rates. Okay, so guys, this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, State of Indian Economy. State of Indian Economy. Now, basically, you know this particular thing, guys, that today the fintechs, that is the financial technology companies, their footprint has increased. And today the fintechs had come and many of the fintechs are providing the loan. Okay, so without even seeing your CIBIL score, without even knowing that whether you are earning or not, they are offering you the loans. Now guys, it has been seen that the fintechs had given lot of loans to the people, particularly into the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and people have used that particular loan money on some betting kind of apps. Okay, on these kind of things, money have been lost. So basically today the fintechs are providing the loan assistance, but there are many concerns into this digital lending that is coming. So this digital lending concerns have been flagged by the Reserve Bank of India governor. So what has happened? So Reserve Bank of India governor had said that there are the concerns in the digital lending. Fine. There are the spate of complaints regarding unserious interest rate, very high interest rate, 25%, 30% interest rates are being charged. Then there is unethical recovery practices by these particular applications. They send recovery agents who are the musclemen, okay, who are the musclemen's types of gundas who will come to your house and will ask money. If you don't give money, they'll take your TV, they'll take your sofa, they'll take your anything they'll get. Okay, so this is unethical recovery practices that are being taken up. Then there are the privacy issues. Okay, they are asking a lot of your details, but we don't know whether they are making sure that that particular data is preserved, the privacy is taken care of or not. After that guys, there is now, so therefore the Reserve Bank of India governor had said that we need to make sure that the fintech industry should focus on governance, should reform their business conduct, regulatory compliances, risk mitigation, and they need to make sure that the customers are protected, and at the same time their needs are to be served. So basically the Reserve Bank of India has provided that the digital digital lending has certain problems. What kind of a problems? All the problems I have provided you here: complaints, unethical recovery, privacy issues. Okay, so these are the concerns in the digital lending that is there. Now the Reserve Bank of India governor had said this particular thing, has provided this particular thing, that basically has provided saying that innovation is good. Now the technology is making the digital lending possible, that is good, but we need to be careful on these particular concerns. So these are, guys, all the issues that has come in this particular direction. Now, guys, moving on into the next article. Okay, uh, promising signs. Okay, now, guys, what this particular article is all about. Now this particular article, it is talking about that recently the NSCN, that is the recently the NSCN, that is the Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, has decided to re-engage into the talks with the union government. Okay, and they are trying to break the deadlock, which is a very important thing. Okay, now, guys, understand that this particular article talks about that it is good that the NSCN is coming to the talks. Now, guys, just 2 days back, today is Wednesday, just the day before yesterday, that is on the Monday 19th of the September, I have discussed the entire issue of the Naga peace talks. So from 1918 to 2000 and 2022, the entire 100-year history of the Naga conflict, entire 100-year history of the Naga conflict, we have discussed in our article, where this particular article came, and I had even provided you the notes on this particular direction. Now, if you have seen this particular article, no need to go in this particular article that has come today, because it is just giving you an overview that now the peace talks will be resumed. It is just giving you an overview as the peace talks will be resumed, so no need to go there. However, if you don't know anything about the Naga, I will emphasize and I will insist that please watch the 19 September first article, because their entire history of the Naga issue has been explained. If you don't know the history, these kind of articles will pose some kind of a difficulty. So, guys, if in case you have watched it, no need to go and see it again. And in case if you don't know anything about the Naga, please watch 19 September first article, and even the notes have been provided here in the detail. Clear? So, guys, that is all about the today's newspaper analysis, and with this we come to an end. And now, guys, we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and guys, I hope that you are getting the utility of this particular article. Okay, now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care, and guys, please do like the video if you think that our efforts are helping you, is doing some knowledge enhancement. Okay, so that is all. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you so much.